You're listening to 91 Reasons, a journey into the twisted landscape of pop culture. Keep your hands and arms inside the podcast at all times. And now, the voice, Jeff Tucker.
Well, we haven't done this in a while, have we? We haven't sat down and talked about movies in a while. So let's do it, shall we? Let's talk about one of the worst movies I have seen since Tenet. Tenet, as you know, was what killed the movies for me. Waiting so long to go to the movies during the shutdown, finally getting to go back and seeing Tenet on the big screen. Christopher Nolan, the director of the Dark Knight trilogy. And it was one of the worst cinematic experiences I've ever had. And I thought, you ever have that moment where you're having it and you say, well, I'll ride this out because it can't get any worse. Like, we've reached the bottom. This is the pain right here. And then something happens that says, and I hate to use internet expressions. Don't you hate them? Hold my beer. I hate all that stuff. But this one said, hold up. I think we can top Tenet. I mean, I don't know. Because Tenet was bad from start to finish, other than Robert Pattinson's performance, who was the only one who managed to save the day for himself in Tenet, because everyone else was lost, including the audience. And I've never gone back to revisit it. There are movies that are terrible on their first viewing. I go to the theater, I hate it. I hated Austin Powers in the theater. At home, totally different experience. Tenet will not get a rewatch from me, ever. I'd rather stare at a wall. No, thank you. But boy, I went to the movies this week, and I was shocked at how bad ARGYLE was. Let's show a little bit of ARGYLE.
I certainly hope you dance as well as you dress.
There's only one way to find out.
Looks fun, right? It looks like a fun spy romp with a twist of maybe somebody's writing the action. It's a movie within a movie within a movie. It's a book within a movie. It's in our imagination. Maybe the main character is in a coma. We don't know. All we know is that something is going on, and we are desperate in all these types of movies. We are desperate for the director to keep us afloat. We have to trust that the director knows what's going on, to the degree that the director is going to help us understand all the craziness that has gone on and explain it all in a way that it doesn't have to be completely logical, but it has to be at least, I don't know, a little bit plausible. Like, just a little bit. You know, we'll go with anything. There have been some movies that have taken some leaps, right? When Neo wakes up from the Matrix, you go, oh my God, this explains the weirdness. There are moments like that in movies, and we expect the director to guide us. And boy, Matthew Vaughn, I sat through the Kingsman 2, The Golden Circle, which was unfucking watchable. So embarrassing for everybody involved. ARGYLE tops it. ARGYLE, I was embarrassed for everybody involved. I can't believe this got made. I can't believe that they had a table reading where they sat around a table and they read this script, and at the end they applauded and laughed. At the end they all went, oh my God, I can't wait to get started on this thing. This is going to be the best 3 months of my life, making ARGYLE. Big spy movie. And instead they all got together and they made shit. And I think they must just laugh at us regular people. People who get up every day and go to work and get paid by the hour. And when the hours are paid off, that's it. You never get paid again for those hours. These people, they make shit. And they get paid for it initially, and then when it comes out, they get paid for it. And then when it gets on disc and streaming and cable TV and regular TV, and every time somebody watches it, they get a nickel, and the nickels all add up. They must laugh at us regular people. You guys can only get paid once? Yeah, we only get paid once for our work. But you guys, even if it's crap, even if it's absolute dreck, you all still keep getting paid. And it's just embarrassing. It's embarrassing for everybody involved. This movie is about, it opens on a spy caper. Henry Cavill is at a club and he meets a pretty girl, Dua Lipa, and they do a dance and they do the twirly whirly, and then everybody has a gun, but there's somebody in a car who with a bunch of keystrokes can suddenly flood the room with smoke. Here's the thing about the opening. The opening is over the top, ridiculous James Bond nonsense. And I'm willing to say, okay, that's the world of this thing. If you tell me that with a couple of keystrokes, that means that 3 days earlier you got into the club and you put canisters of smoke above the dance floor for this very reason, I'll believe it, because it's a spy movie. Okay, sounds great. ARGYLE, played by Henry Cavill, is able to get away, and then he chases down Dua Lipa, who jumps on a motorbike, and it looks like they're in Greece, and you know that street that goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. She takes off on it, and again, here's that sense of suspension of disbelief. It looks like a toy. She takes off down the road, and it looks like a toy. And again, I was like, well, okay, that's the movie. I'm okay. I mean, I've seen when Halle Berry jumps backwards off the cliff in Die Another Day, it looks ridiculous, but we just go with it because that's the movie. Henry Cavill grabs a Jeep, and instead of going down the streets, he goes through all the buildings. The Jeep's not big enough for that. It's not strong enough for that. And as we see, it gets progressively more damaged as it goes down. So he radios. Dua Lipa gets loose. Dua Lipa gives him the slip. So he calls John Cena, who is having his espresso. He loves his espresso at a little cafe. And he just nonchalantly gets up, reaches out, and grabs Dua Lipa off the motorbike. So that when Henry Cavill ARGYLE joins them, they all sit at the cafe and they say that we know what you've done, Dua Lipa, you're evil. And she says, by the way, your entire organization is evil. You know, it's like S.H.I.E.L.D. or Alias. Everybody finds out in these things that the very organization that they're working for, those are the evil people. And we go with it because that makes good drama. Everything you've known is a lie. Oh my God, what am I going to do? So they take out their earpieces, they melt them, they put them in their drinks, and Dua Lipa takes a very stylized ARGYLE necklace and poisons herself and dies. So the movie jumps to Henry Cavill is trying to track down, somebody has the knock list. Does that make sense to you? In Mission Impossible 1, they're after the knock list, which is everybody that has worked for the agency's real identity. It's the ultimate doxing. If you have the knock list, you know everybody and what they're up to and what they're been up to, what they're doing in the whole bit, right? So this movie is about the same thing. It's so 90s or early 2000s, I should say. It's a flash drive. The whole movie is about a flash drive. That's the MacGuffin. The flash drive has all the information about the bad guys, that if the good guys get it, they'll know who the bad guys are. They won't know them by having guns pointed at them, but they'll know them by the computer files in the flash drive. So it's like any episode of a 2000s era cartoon where, you remember it used to be a CD-ROM? Like they were always like, oh my God, he's got the disc. Got the disc! Toretto's got the disc! It'll change the world. This is a flash drive. Okay, it's a flash drive. Fine. The hacker guy gets killed and the flash drive is lost because Henry Cavill's character doesn't get the drop. And there's a really neat sequence where everything fades away. We find out that this is a story that's being written by Bryce Dallas Howard's character. And all the words fall behind the characters like they're on a page. It's clever. And then the movie sort of stops because ARGYLE and his team of spies are not real. They are characters in her book series. And where there's a book signing where she's signing books and answering questions about the ARGYLE character, and they're the most popular things in the world. They are so amazing. And this is where Hollywood shortcuts things. I'm not going to say they get it wrong because it takes a while to write a good screenplay. I'm sorry. In the case of Argyle, it takes a while to write a screenplay. Not a good, I mean, you can write a good screenplay and a bad screenplay in the same amount of time. But it does take time. It's not overnight. But apparently this character, Ellie, who the fuck cares? Woman writer character, is debuting her new book that everybody loves. They've all read it. They love it. They have questions about it. There's a bad guy that we know because the camera lingers on him a little too long. It ends on a cliffhanger that can only be resolved through the next book, which thankfully she has already written. She's able to write books in an instant in this movie. They don't take years the way I write books. A first draft could take up to a year, and then it takes another year after that to edit. I guess if you're like she's trying to be like the J.K. Rowling of spy novels. I guess if you have a whole team working on the editing, you could get them out faster. But the initial book, if you're going to write a book, it's a huge time commitment. It is a very lonely, sad time commitment. Somebody asked me, I mean, yes, I write books. People always ask me, well, I want to write a book. And I go, you shouldn't write a book. I said, it's lonely. Your family goes out and does fun things, and you write. And they go out to dinner or some other event, and you stay home to write. And when they're back, you've got 9 pages. And you're like, 9 pages! And then your family has no idea what you're talking about, that's exciting, because you didn't go with us for 9 pages. 9 pages! So she's got books in the pipeline ready to go as if they're pamphlets, right? And they do show the Argyle book in the movie, and it's not very big at all. But then, she's at home. She's working on her book. She has a very ugly cat that is mostly played by a CGI image. It's not a real cat most of the movie. Her mother, played by Catherine O'Hara, who I love from SCTV, plays her mom. And she calls her mom, and her mom's read the book already. She read it overnight. And she says that it shouldn't end on a cliffhanger, that it needs one more chapter to make it good, and she needs to work on it now. And mother's coming to your apartment, your house, your amazing house, the middle of a mountain area, right now to help you finish the novel. And instead, this character, writer, female character, grabs her cat in a backpack with a little bubble on it, which I guess is supposed to be endearing, like that's her familiar, like she's got an animal with her the whole time. Because she has no friends. There's nobody to talk to say how ridiculous this whole adventure is. So she either has to talk to herself or talk to the cat. The problem is, and this happened many times in the movie, the cat is always in the backpack. It has no life. It's a prop. Occasionally, they take the cat out and they feed the cat, and they make a big deal about feeding the cat, but they never explain that. Where does the cat take a shit? The cat is never shown relieving itself. And I know in movies, unless it's part of the plot, they never show the bathroom. I get that. That's a human thing. We just assume that, hey, when she had to go, she went and we didn't see it. And I don't need to see it, and that's fine. But the animal is a different thing, because the animal can't control its bodily functions as much as a human can. And it spends so much time in this backpack that it must be swimming in its own feces, I guess.
It's called a cop-out.
I'm counting down the minutes on this thing to the 30-minute mark. Because at the 30-minute mark, everything should be in motion as to what the plot of the film is. And we still don't know. So we get Sam Rockwell, the great Sam Rockwell, who is great in everything he does. He's great in this, even though it's a terrible part. He does his best with the material. He sits down across from her as like a grizzled hippie character with long beard, long hair, bucket hat, and he's reading her book. Very cute. He knows who she is.
Oh my God, you're Ellie freaking Conway.
And she says, well, what do you do? And he says, well, I'm a spy, so I like your books. Oh, har, he's a spy. And he goes, and the men on this train are trying to kill you. This is a great way to set the movie up. Within a few seconds, she has been threatened with her life. There is a fight on the train. It's closed quarters. We're not sure who's the good guy, who's the bad guy, who's on whose side. And it's very exciting. The bad guys are dispatched, and then they end up parachuting off the train in a scene that looks like what should have happened at the end of Mission Impossible, the latest one. Tom Cruise is wearing a backpack so that him and her can get off the train, even though it's for one person. I don't know. This one's for two people. So near the 30-minute mark, he grabs her in a bear hug, clips her in, and they exit the train in a fantastic, exciting fashion. And our movie is set up now that the writer of the spy novels does not know what's going on exactly. She just doesn't know. There are multiple scenes from cat vision where the movie takes the point of view of the cat behind the bubble and shows what's going on. It's never brought to fruition. It doesn't mean anything to the story. Her eyes blink shut on the frame to show the passage of time, like whoop. And then it's like Harry Potter. You ever read the Harry Potter novels? Every time something interesting happens, Harry faints away, and we have to deal with Harry like, "You fainted, Harry. Here's what's going on." Like, because you got to drag the characters from point A to point B. You have to drag them around. As a writer, we get all that, but devices like this are shortcuts. Let's just call them shortcuts to get the characters from point A to point B. I get all that. So then the plot of the thing is laid out. And the plot is her books, for whatever reason, are true. That the character of ARGYLE is a real spy somewhere in the world who lost the knock list. And everybody at headquarters, who's bad guys, by the way, remember they're all bad guys, are waiting for her to write the next novel, because the next novel will finally tell them where the knock list is. She's been doing this for 5 years, and she's finally going to reveal where the list is, where the flash drive is. And once they have the flash drive, they can eliminate her. I don't know. It's never really, I guess, said. But we're not certain at this point if it's magic or a simulation. I kept having the distinct feeling that she was going to wake up from a coma, or that she was going to have been in a car accident or something. I'm not really certain. There's a mention of an ice skating accident, which won't be brought up till way later in the movie.
It's called a cop-out.
So they go to London, where the book ended, and they're at a park, and they're trying to find out, like, what would the next steps be? If you were to continue writing the book right now, where would the knock list be? And so she starts thinking really hard. And the bad guys are at headquarters. It's Bryan Cranston, another great actor, slumming in this garbage, are watching her because somebody in the park is live streaming what she's doing. She's that popular of an author. They're not going to go up and talk to her, but they are going to live stream her sitting at a park bench with a stranger.
It's called a cop-out.
There's a lot of that in this movie, of just coincidences, conveniences, things that I would never write in my books, because to me they're cop-outs.
It's called a cop-out.
Somebody's live streaming. Like, you couldn't say we hacked into a satellite. And there's some business about they picked this particular statue, and the last name is the same name as a satellite company. And if they triangulate the satellites, they'll find out where the hacker lived. Okay, it's garbledygook. It's just meant to keep you like, oh, as you eat your popcorn, yeah, they're going to find the list. This is great. Because the story can't progress till they find the list. They go to the apartment, and it's empty, of course. And there's no clue there as to where the knock list is. And this is where the movie actually does the middle finger to the audience. The character writer lady with cat looks around and sees that some of the walls are brick and have been wallpapered over. So she starts removing the wallpaper, and she goes, no one would do this unless they had a reason. So it must be, this has to do with it. And the Sam Rockwell character, who has murdered 25 people and taken her to Europe to find this list, stands there and says, don't do that. That's not right. Don't do that. What? Are you joking? You've spent 30 minutes telling us that this guy needs her to find it. And when she's finally taking steps to find it, he tells her to stop. That was the exact moment I was done with this movie. Hadn't even gotten to the stupid stuff at the end, but it was that moment of the character is doing what you need the character to do, but the other guy is like, don't do that. Like, it's imagine if you know improv comedy. That's the ultimate denial. Isn't it great to be at this park? And the actor goes, we're not at the park. Well, then, what are we doing? There's something behind the wall here. And she even goes, look, there's a wire running. And he goes, no. And he starts dancing. I don't know what these directors have with characters dancing. Do they all want to make Moulin Rouge? That's Baz Luhrmann's area. You want to make a musical? Make a fucking musical. But the character starts dancing and accidentally discovers that the floorboards are hollow. The director of this film hates you. They think you're stupid. They think we, us are stupid because that's dumb. The character was finding it on the wall. Suddenly it's in the floorboards? What are you talking about? They're able to find in the floorboards a lockbox that does not contain the flash drive, but instead contains a book with the anarchist symbol on the front. And everybody knows the anarchist symbol. We all drew it on our peaches back in high school. Circle A. Yeah, anarchy. Yeah, man. I'm hardcore. And she actually goes, it's the symbol for the anarchists. It's the symbol. Like, who is that explanation for? Is that for me? Do you think there's somebody out there who doesn't know the anarchy symbol? Matthew Vaughn, I really don't like you. You're a terrible director. You don't trust your audience. And when we do have a little bit of trust going back and forth, you tell us we're stupid for having that trust. When she's pulling down the wallpaper and you tell us, no, it's not in there. Well, then why is she here? To find the building? You're telling me in 5 years they couldn't track down this guy's apartment, that it's empty 5 years later? Did they buy it forever? Did they buy and rent it forever because there'd be paperwork, right? What kind of spies are they that 5 years after the fact, they can't find the apartment where the lockbox is? Oh, that's so fucking stupid. And that's what they think of us. Then the bad guys show up in a van with guns, and there's a big action dukeroo in it where people are shooting guns and fists are flying and Sam Rockwell is beating everybody up. And then there's a bizarre sequence where the bad guys are lying incapacitated in the hallway, and Sam Rockwell instructs our main writer woman with cat character to walk by them all and smash their skulls with her foot. Let's say that again. It's not enough that they're on the ground incapacitated. They must have their skulls smashed in so that we know they're not coming after you, that they're dead. Now, they send 3 waves of people to dispatch these two and get the anarchist cookbook book in their possession. And he tells her to smash their skulls. And it's not an aside. It's a scene in the movie. They stop the action to explain how to crush a man's skull. You have to smash down and then twist your foot. It's very specific. Thankfully, she can't do it. He doesn't do it. So they just leave. They run up to the roof. She says in her mind that this is what they would have done. This is how they're going to get there. They find a boat key next to the cookbook. And at the roof, they look down and there's a boat next to a barge of debris. And Sam Rockwell says, the debris must be fake. That's a cushion for us to land on. It's a big leap to take. Because if you're wrong, you're dead. But it's okay, because he drops her cat onto it. You've probably seen it in the trailer of the cat falling off a building. That is Sam Rockwell holding a CGI cat and dropping it off a 3 or 4 story building. Who thought this was a good idea? Don't you know in the movie rules that only the bad guy does terrible things to pets and animals? Once you do something terrible to a pet or an animal, we really don't like you anymore. Why do you think John Wick killed all those fucking people? Because they hurt his dog. We know that the minute he drops the cat will be fine. The cat's going to land on its feet. It's lost a life. You know, har har, it's got 9 lives. Har har. So they get in a boat and they take off. They take off. And they get away. And then Bryan Cranston back at headquarters is like, we have to find them. Oh, it's so like an episode of Inspector Gadget. Like he's like Dr. Claw shaking his fist. We have to find them. They have the book that leads to the list and the thing. What? So then we get our slow down moment of them and the Sam Rockwell character and writer lady with cat are at a hotel and they're trying to regroup. What's going on? We have to figure this out. And there's a moment where he goes in the bathroom on the phone and she eavesdrops and he starts talking about putting a bullet in her head. Putting a bullet in her head. Now, later we're going to find out that he didn't really mean it. And he was just being, it was just hyperbole, right? Something like that. But in the context of the film, when you're on the run and the character that you're with doesn't know who to trust, even yourself, does she trust you? Because you've lied a little bit here and you've killed people and you've instructed her to crush somebody's fucking skull that you might not trust him. Or you might be looking for ways that you want to trust him more. So when you hear a guy use that phrase, I want to put a bullet, she needs to have a bullet put on her skull is what he says. She gets her cat and she leaves. That's a real moment that a character would do. It's what I would do. But why is it in there? It's in there so that she can be separated and be saved later by the same guy. I get it. I understand. I know why these movies are made. I know the mechanics of them. I understand completely because I knew that the minute Bryan Cranston showed up in the film, I turned to Ryder, who was sitting next to me, and I said, that's probably her father. That's how this thing's going to shake out. I don't know exactly the intricacies of it, but that's how it's going to shake out. Now, we have had multiple scenes where, especially during the train fight sequence, where Sam Rockwell turns into ARGYLE while they're fighting. Like, actually the scene is shot again with Henry Cavill as ARGYLE fighting the bad guys and then talking to Ryder character with Cat, like, it's going to be okay. We're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. What? What's happening? There's a sequence where Ryder with Cat character looks in the mirror and she sees Henry Cavill instead of her own reflection. And he says, it's going to be fine. I'm like, I think I know where this movie is going, but I'm really hoping that's not the case because that would be stupid.
It's called a cop-out.
I wonder where the movie's going to go. She calls back home to her mom, who says, don't move a muscle. Your father and I are flying to England to get you. So we hard cut to her at a hotel, meeting her mother. We don't see the father. He's in the bathroom. Oh, he's gone to get ice. And I turned to Ryder and I said, you know, it's like 12 hours to get a plane ticket, get to the airport, get on a plane, fly there. How did they get there so quickly? There's been no passage of time. No passage of time at all. It's just hard cut. They're at the hotel. She joins them. Don't you hate when movies do this? Don't you hate when characters are able to get from one place to the other with no effort, knowing as a person in the real world how much of a hassle things are, getting places, traffic, people are on their phones in the way. But in the movies, in the interest of time, they just get there. They don't even mention it. They don't even say, like, you know, it took 12 hours to get here, but thank God we got here. You're safe. Father shows up with the ice bucket, and of course, it's Bryan Cranston. He's the bad guy. We all knew that. He's too big an actor to just be dad. I mean, to just be villain character. There must be some extra meat on that acting bone for him. She gets the list out that's been with the cat the whole time. They do feed the cat in this scene. But he gets the book, and he's looking it over, and you're like, uh-oh, the bad guy has the book that leads to the flash drive. What are they going to do? Who knows, right? Now we know that her mother and father are both in on it, that they're both evil. But we don't know how she's going to get out of it. Sam Rockwell shows up. He shoots mom in the chest, kills her on screen, and then grabs her and the cat, and they get out. They get to safety. And we have another scene where, no kidding, her eyes close, and when they reopen, they're out in the countryside. And we'll find out later that was 12 hours. That she was so exhausted, she slept for 12 hours, and she does not know where they're at. They're out in a vineyard in the English countryside, somewhere between England and France, somewhere in, who knows, and at a house that looked just like the one from one of the later James Bond movies, either Skyfall or No Time to Die, almost exactly. Who should come out of the house but Sam Jackson? And at that moment, I kind of like cheered, because here's a guy that I really like in movies. He rarely plays bad parts. He's great in bad parts because Sam Jackson's that good of an actor. And I thought, oh, finally, someone's going to save us from this shit that we're in. He's going to tell her the whole truth. And the whole truth of the movie. God bless Sam Jackson for delivering this exposition. The truth of the movie is so fucking stupid and so derivative and so already been done so much better that I was absolutely embarrassed for everybody involved in this movie. He takes her to a big control room where he types on a computer, and suddenly there's her picture, and she's a secret agent. She's a badass secret agent who got into an accident. We were told that she got into a ice skating accident, but it was really, she was captured by the bad guys because, are you ready? She's ARGYLE. Her name is ARGYLE, Rachel Kyle or something, but she's ARGYLE. And Sam Rockwell is John Cena. And they traveled the world having spy adventures from the books. The ones in the book are their adventures. They had those adventures that somehow writer with cat character went into a club and romanced Dua Lipa and flipped her all around and had her face right in her crotch doing the twirly-whirly. And then Sam Rockwell plucked her off a bike only to find out that the syndicate or whatever it was all bad guys. It was her all along. She's the spy. Now, this was done much better in Long Kiss Goodnight. Shane Black's spy with amnesia who discovers herself in suburbia. That's a really cool movie starring Sam Jackson in the same role.
You keep saying I this, I that. Like, well, it's like you don't need me anymore.
Good point.
Hey! Hey! Hey!
So they just watched a bunch of movies and sort of blended them together, which is what we're doing these days. If it's not an original, if it's not a comic book or a TV show being turned into a movie, then it's probably 5 ideas in a blender and mixed up to be something else. But if you're going to project yourself as somebody else, it would be somebody similar to yourself, wouldn't it? Why does she project herself as a big man with a bad haircut? Why does she project herself as Henry Cavill? It doesn't make any sense, especially with the idea and the knowledge that Sam Rockwell's character is in love with her, that they had a relationship, that John Cena and Henry Cavill in their fantasy world had a relationship. That would be like me imagining myself as Angelina Jolie. Like, that's not in my brain. I would never imagine myself as a woman. So why does she imagine herself as a man? Wouldn't it have been more empowering for a female character to imagine herself as a badass female character? No, because the only reason that's in the movie is to fool us so that we won't figure out the really stupid twist until they spoon feed it to us in that exposition scene, of which there are a lot of exposition scenes. There are a lot of, oh my God, what's going on? I don't know. I will tell you. There's a lot of that in this movie. It's really stupid.
It's called a cop-out.
But I at that moment, I was gone. I wanted the movie to be over. I really did. And when I checked my phone, it had like an hour to go, and I went, oh, this can't be over soon enough. This is like dental work. Argyle is like fucking dental work. You just you just close your eyes and please let it be over. Sam Jackson tells her that she's a spy, that the syndicate is real, they're out to get her, that her dad is not her dad, that she was captured by the bad guys, and in the hospital, she was forced to look at a computer screen, like a laptop, that had the swirly whirly, ooh, you are being hypnotized, like something from a Columbo episode. I couldn't help to notice, but you've been hypnotized. Like, really? The twirly whirly hypno ray? And that's all it takes? It wasn't like they showed them injecting her with lots of drugs, mind-altering chemicals. That might have been in there, to tell you the truth. But I don't know, because I checked out. I was so fucking done by that time. When he turns it around and it's like, ooh, you were in an ice skating accident. You fell through the ice. And they brainwashed her into believing she was someone from suburbia that they could park somewhere, who happened to be not only a super spy, but a really good author, like Stephen King good, like John Grisham good. And not only that, but she could churn out these novels one after the other. Boom, it's ready. Boom, it's ready. What an amazing turn of events, that not only was she a spy, but when they brainwashed her to not know she was a spy, she maintained enough of that information to translate it into a series of amazingly popular books. And then, good people, the bad guys stepped back for 5 years to let her become the best-selling novelist in the country with millions of fans, never thinking that one day she might wake up, that maybe she might slip in the bathroom and hit her head, and suddenly remember everything and be really pissed off, and now have unlimited bank account and power and fans around the world.
It's called a cop-out.
This movie is also a ripoff of Romancing the Stone. And you know that scene in Romancing the Stone? Perfect movie. Where they're in the middle of nowhere and they're out of options. So they go up to a door and they knock on it, of a drug overlord's compound. And when he opens the door, he goes, oh, Joan Wilder! And he's got like a collection. And it's the funniest turn in that movie of, oh, this is going to be good. And suddenly the Michael Douglas character loses some of his power because his machismo is not going to get him out of this. But her being who she is will.
Joan Wilder, write us out of this one.
Joan Wilder? Joan Wilder? The Joan Wilder? You are Joan Wilder, the novelist? Yes, I am. I read your books. I read all your books.
The movie has none of that. There's never a point where she turns and she goes, I'm the big writer of Argyle. And all the people go and go, oh, you can't hurt her. She doesn't do that. You know when Indiana Jones, all the children come in to save him in the bar? Those are great moments, and they're clever because they're part of the story. But this fucking movie has none of that. There's no clever anywhere. There's zero. Their clever is, here's a problem you'll never get out of. I just thought of a way that never made sense before, but it might now. It's not like something you saw earlier. It's not like, hey, no one can play at the dance, Marty, because the guy cut his hand. Oh, I can play the guitar. You saw me in the opening scene play the guitar. Marty's playing the guitar. Oh my God.
Marvin, you gotta play. See, that's where they kiss for the first time on the dance floor. And if there's no music, they can't dance. If they can't dance, they can't kiss. If they can't kiss, they can't fall in love, and I'm history.
Hey, man, the dance is over. Unless you know somebody else that can play the guitar.
There's none of that. It's just all really convenient nonsense. Sam Jackson, they're able to decipher the book, which tells them where the flash drive is, and you'll never guess where the flash drive is. The flash drive is out in the desert in a palace, and it's being held by the official spy secrets keeper. No one could have ever seen that coming. I bet in all the 5 years they waited for her to write all of her adventures up until that exact moment, that nobody figured that it might be with the official secret keeper, that all they had to do was drag her out there, show her face, scan her iris, and open the box and get the flash drive, which, oh God, it's in a silver bullet flash drive, because you need a silver bullet to kill the monster. It's the only thing that would kill the monster is a silver bullet. Like, this is the worst metaphor Easter egg ever. These are just so dumb and stupid. So they go out there. It's the girl with the scissor legs from Kingsman, who was really good. Her career sort of derailed because she was the mummy in that Tom Cruise mummy movie that nobody saw. Then it really gets, there's flashes of what could have been. In the reflection of this big room they're in with all the safety deposit boxes, she sees ARGYLE and he's like, if I'm remembering it right, he says, you're not going to see me again because you know the truth now, and you are me and we are we, and you need to go kick some ass. And you're like, oh, so now Henry Cavill's out of the movie. He was one of the main reasons I came to see this thing. What a bait and switch, huh? What a bait and switch that we thought we were getting a Henry Cavill spy movie, and instead we got a Bryce Dallas Howard writer on the run, ridiculous, stupid movie. Matthew Vaughn, I want my $11 back. You owe me $11, man. Anyways, through a series of plot contrivances, they are captured by the bad guys and taken to the bad guys' secret headquarters that we've seen the whole movie. Mom is alive. It was a bulletproof vest.
Bulletproof vest! Great flick! Great friggin' flick!
I should tell you, the way at the beginning is a character, this woman in a Jeep, the one who hit the buttons to make the fog go down. Like, she's dead. And most of the movie is, according to Sam Rockwell's character, if we take what he says at the end and extrapolate it back to the beginning, one of his main motivations is not only does he love Ryder character with Kat, but that hacker character, was killed. And her death is a big motivation for him to go on this journey and fix this, right? Because he's a spy. He could just vanish into the ether. They'd never get him. They never find him. So they end up on the bad guys thing. Mom's alive. Sam Rockwell's character is captured, and they're beating the piss out of him. He's wearing a shirt of a woman's mouth biting on a cherry bomb. That'll come into play later for some reason. And at this moment, the writer with Cat character says, I am now a bad guy. I have seen my future. My memories are completely intact now. There's a hint, I think I mentioned earlier, there's a hint of what could have been an interesting movie, because the secret keeper and the writer with Cat character act as if they've had a relationship. And that's interesting. Like, is she the female James Bond? Would she sleep with anybody to get what she needed to save the world? Because we know James Bond will have sex with any woman, but would a woman do the same? That's an interesting concept, and much more interesting than anything on display in this movie, because this movie's a mess. The character that died in the Jeep with the computer, the fans didn't want her to die. So somebody wrote her and said, there's a way you can shoot a person in the heart, that if you just go to the right just a little bit, there's an empty abscess here where the bullet will go right through and not kill them, even though they will appear to have been shot in the heart. And she's going to use that to save that character from the Jeep in a future book. If you're not paying attention to the movie, you would never have seen this. It's buried so deep. It's just their stupid insurance policy against plot holes. So, Ryder with Cat character is evil now. She's very icy and cold. She's with her mother and father, who are not really her mother and father. They all just work. They're going to destroy the world together, whatever that means. The silver bullet flash drive is put in the fireplace and burnt. Right below Daddy's trusty Clementine shotgun that he's used to kill one of his underlings. That's how badass he is. And we know that gun's going to come in at some point, right? Someone's going to use that gun. I can't wait. She goes in. Rockwell's not being cooperative. They want him to tell something. Who knows about it? Who's in on it? She shoots him in the chest, and they're all shocked. And she says, he was never going to talk. So why bother? I would like to go and use the computer to tell you where the Sam Jackson character is. Because once we eliminate him, anybody that was against us is now gone. So she sits at a computer and triangulates where, using logic, where his villa, his winery is. And the Bryan Cranston character is like, ooh, we've got him, goody goody, we're going to eliminate him forever. And then the character of Ryder with Cat says, by the way, while I was using your computer, I sent him the files of the flash drive. Because apparently the hacker who downloaded those files left them all in a folder. Like, we all know how computers work, right? You can't go on your computer and go, download all the pertinent files. You have to tell the computer what files to download. And it takes a while, right? Now, that's fine, because that'll come into play later. But you have to tell it what to download. But she says, I've just sent it to him. And he's like, what? No! And then it says, authorization denied. She didn't get to send it. It didn't happen. So now they know she's a good guy still. So the fight is on. And she ends up back with Sam Rockwell, who didn't die because she shot him in the right spot. And he's able to get up and walk around. And he gets able to fight like it's not even happening. He injects himself with adrenaline, and they're ready to go. So the two of them embark on a series of the most fucking unbelievable, stupid action sequences I've ever seen in a film. You ever seen the ice skating scene in Batman and Robin?
You get the ice, I'll get the ice, man.
This is worse. The bad guys line up outside the door. It looks just like A New Hope, Star Wars A New Hope, where the rebels are waiting Darth Vader and his stormtroopers to infiltrate the blockade runner. The door opens, and all this beautiful purple and pink smoke comes out. And this music starts. Now, this has happened 3 or 4 times in the movie, where during an action sequence, they play what sounds like ABBA or Barry White or music that's really not appropriate for an action sequence unless you're being ironic. And that's where I thought, oh, she's in a coma. Because this music is definitely on her playlist. Because it doesn't enhance the scene. It actually takes you out of the scene. You're like, oh, the music's really bad. It's really weird in this sequence. So the music swells, and they come out wearing gas masks, and the hallway fills with smoke as they kill everyone in the hallway. They shoot them, they break their necks, they chop them up, right? They make hearts out of smoke. They spin around, and smoke is everywhere. It's purple, it's pink, it's very feminine and very beautiful on the screen. They dance. They start dancing in the smoke as they kill people. The tone is all over the place. It's very wrong. Remember, he told her how to stomp somebody's skull? And now we're dancing in smoke and having a ballet of sorts. And so at one point, they're going to do the twirly whirly like we saw at the beginning. The twirly-whirly's finally going to make sense in the movie. But instead, she picks up Sam Rockwell. She, this frumpy, middle-aged woman, lifts a full-grown man in what looks like an ice skating maneuver. And she has his schnickel, his dick, right at face level as she spins him around and they fire guns and smoke at people. It's one of the most ridiculous, dumb moments I've ever seen in a movie. I was laughing so hard, I thought I was going to choke on my popcorn. Ryder had to elbow me. He said, Dad, you're being loud. I go, now, to be fair, there was only 6 of us in the theater. So even if everybody got mad, I could probably refund them all and still come out okay. Here's your money. Go see it again. Don't do that. She spins around, and you're thinking to yourself, it can't get worse than this. We've reached the bottom. We've reached the absolute bottom of this stupid fucking movie. And what's the next thing the bad guy says? I can't see anything. He's already had him turn on thermal imaging. Like, the guy doing the keystrokes doesn't know to just turn. The minute the screen fills with smoke, you turn on Predator vision. Boop. But they don't do that. Can I turn on Predator right here? Ooh, this is how it looked in the smoke. Oh my God. So at the end of the scene, he goes, I can't see. Activate the filtration system. They hit a button and it sucks all the smoke out. They hit a button in the control room and it sucks all the smoke out. You mean you could have done that at any time? Do you know how many lives you would have saved? At least 15. At least 15 minions would be spared their lives if you'd done that. And you would have won because they were wearing gas masks, which limits their vision. You could have won. Why would you give the bad guy this power? This is where, again, they just think you're stupid. And it's not Bryan Cranston's fault. He doesn't know what he's looking at because they haven't filmed it yet. He just goes, I can't see. Activate the filtration system. He doesn't know that character-wise, if he had done that 4 minutes sooner, he would have won. Because the writer hates you. Because the director thinks you're stupid. These people all are gross. But Jeff, you're asking, how can it get worse? And you're like, I don't know, but I guess we're getting to it. They run to a big room full of pipes. And the bad guys are now reinforced and they're in tow. And they're shooting at each other. And every time they shoot, the pipe bursts and sends oil all over the floor. And eventually they go, stop firing. If you ignite the oil, we're all dead. Nobody fire. So they're hiding behind this thing, right? This big piece of machinery. And the bad guy's like, knives out. And they go, shink, shink. And everybody's got knives and they're coming towards them, right? And as a writer, this is a moment where you've got my interest. They're pinned down. They can't fire a gun. If they are going to have a knife fight, it better be an amazing knife fight because everybody's slipping and sliding on the oil. One guy cannot get up. Whoa, oh my God, the oil, we can't move. So how are we going to have a fight? And I wondered, could the movie pull out a really amazing action sequence here at the end and just end this thing on a high note? No, they can't. Because the writer with cat character turns to Sam Rockwell and says, or asks, that part about me falling through the ice, was I really an ice skater? And he says, yeah, a pretty good one.
We have just lost cabin pressure.
Wait. This has not been brought up ever in the movie that she was really an ice skater. It was given to her as a cover with a music box that when you wind it up and it plays music and the skater spins around, she's like, whoa, I'm mesmerized. It was never fact. There's never a dialogue from the bad guys that say, we will turn her using her ice skating. It's enough in her brain that she will use it to accept our new reality. They don't do that. So she says, I knew I could ice skate. She takes 2 knives and she steps on them, thereby turning her shoes into ice skates. I knew what was coming next, and I couldn't look away. It was so incredibly stupid that I couldn't look away. But now we have a CGI Bryce Dallas Howard character ice skating on knives across oil, stabbing everyone in the room to death. Stabbing, moving, stabbing, 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 oh no, stabbing, and then doing the spin, the spin that ice skaters, and then stabbing. Think about it. Like, someone had to write that. Someone had to build up this scene. We're going to build them up into a room with tubes that will spill oil. The oil will cover the floor. They cannot use their guns. We will have one line of dialogue that she might have been an ice skater, so that we can have a scene where she ice skates around and kills everybody with knives. And some poor team of bastards had to animate this in CGI, because Bryce Dallas Howard cannot ice skate on knives across oil. I don't think anybody could. Like, that's not how any of this works. And even if it did work like that, you have to set it up more than what you did in the movie, Mr. Vaughn. You're a lazy filmmaker. You're a lazy fucking filmmaker who puts characters in situations that they cannot get out of. And they get out of it using something that we, the audience, were never told. That's the ultimate bullshit. I saw, like, Kathy Bates, he didn't get out of the cockadoodie car.
This isn't what happened last week. Have you all got amnesia? They just cheated us. This isn't fair. He didn't get out of the cockadoodie car.
That's what I sound like. But what are we supposed to do? This is the movie you've presented us. This is the movie you've presented us. So they're able to escape the oil room and get to where the only place on the ship they can send the file, the main control room. It looks like it's straight out of Tron with blue lights and danger, and she's typing furiously. And then, of course, Dad shows up with his shotgun. They're going to kill everybody. Bang, bang. And I should tell you, oh dear viewer, listener, that she's done all of these action sequences with the cat. The cat is still with her. His backpack has been broken, but he's still there. And so they get to the final terminal, and they're going to hit upload, and it needs an iris scan, a retinal scan of the bad guy. And he's like, only my peepers will open it. So I thought, are they going to have the cat rip his eye out? Because that's straight out of Captain Marvel. That's how Nick Fury lost his eye. They're going to do that? No, they're not even that clever. The cat explodes out of the backpack, the CGI cat, jumps on his face, and kills him by clawing his eyes out. The bad guy is dispatched by the cat. Is that the whole reason the cat was there the whole movie? Are we supposed to go, oh my God, the cat, remember the cat? Yes. No, but nobody did that. Nobody did that. I had to be elbowed because I was laughing so hard at the CGI cat.
Excuse me.
Dad, are you going to let me money or not?
Window seats. I know what you did. You're a damn pedant. All right, just get the hell out of here. I got a goddamn
Hey, the one thing you do care about. Okay, then I quit as your son.
Well, they can't do the upload there because he's dead, and they don't have the retinal scan to open it. So she's like, there's one more place on the ship we can do it. Let's go. They go all the way up to the ship, the hideout. That's when they find out, surprise, they're on an oil tanker. I said that from the start, that the bad guys were going to be on a ship. You know, it's like in Face Off when Nicolas Cage finally escapes the prison, and oh, surprise, you're in the middle of the ocean. You're not really in a building on land. They get to the top, they find the uplink, and they're about to send him the code, and it's this is exactly what I predicted it would be to Ryder. I said, watch, it's going to be a computer terminal with a status bar. And it's like, sending 1%, 2%, 3%. And we don't have a win until it gets to 100. And then they don't really know how computers work, because back at Sam Jackson's vineyard, he's watching the Lakers, And it's like incoming file, 1%, 2%, 3%. Like, that's not how any of this works. You don't get a thing that says you've got a big email coming. Your email is coming. The people who write this don't even live in the real world. They don't even understand the real world, because you have to understand the real world to wrench drama and suspense out of it. If it's not real, if it's not a real thing that's happening, then why are we in suspense? That's not how file sending works, you dolts. So, of course, Mom shows up. She's not dead. Again, she has the music box. And when she winds it and plays it, Manchurian Candidate style, writer character with cat turns evil and tries to kill Sam Rockwell and is just beating the piss out of him. Something she's done the whole movie. She is able to just beat the piss out of men. Just beat them up. Now, look at me. There are a lot of women that could kick my ass. I have no issues with that. I might even like it. But this character is not that. She is not Scarlett Johansson in Black Widow. She is not Angelina Jolie in Salt. She is not Angelina Jolie in Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Or Gal Gadot in Wonder Woman. This is a frumpy, middle-aged woman who beats the snot out of people. It's not realistic at all. The suspension of disbelief is so high off the charts, the chart is burnt. So every time the music box winds down, she regains consciousness. What am I doing? Oh my God! And then Mom winds it again, and there's this cat and mouse of stopping the status bar. She gets to 40%, and she's like, I'm evil now. Stop the status bar. And then back in the vineyard, it stops, and Sam Jackson goes, no! And then goes back to watching his Laker game. He spends the whole last of the movie watching the Laker game. That's good work if you can get it. A beer in the Laker game and still get paid, and then every once in a while you go, no! And then back to the Laker game? I guess. Sam Jackson must have loved it. Maybe the game was even live. That would have been fun too, right? This goes on for way too long, with Sam saying, I love you, I'm not going to hurt you, and she's like, I'm going to kill you because I'm evil, and then I'm not evil, status bar, no, status bar, no, status, and you're just bored, because the movie's offering nothing different, and just when all seems lost, Mom is killed. Not by one of our main characters, not by Sam Rockwell, and not by writer character with a cat. No, Mom is killed by the computer hacker lady from the beginning of the movie. The one who was like sending the fog down, the smoke. She's alive. She says, I'm the one that sent you the idea to shoot them right next to the heart because it looks like he got shot, but you didn't really because there's an abscess where the bullet will be safely passing through your body without killing you. Isn't that great? Fuck you, Matt Vaughn. Fuck you, writer of this movie. You don't deserve $1. If I get my $11 for me and my $11 for my kid back, I would shake it out of you at a con. This is the laziest, stupidest, dumbest movie I've seen in years. You should all be ashamed of waking up at 4 a.m. for weeks on end to make this piece of shit. And it looks terrible because it's obvious for 90% of the movie you're in a warehouse shooting against a green screen, and not even a good one. Not even a good one. Like, it's obvious you are not on location. But, Jeff, that's to give the movie this ultra-realistic... No, it's lazy. You get up, you have your coffee. Oh, we're going to film 6 scenes today. It'll be great. We're all getting paid. Today, to the day we die, we're all getting paid for this piece of shit. For this, where a character that we have no connection to, don't care about, died before we hardly even knew her, shows up and kills the bad guy. Are you aware, Matt Vaughn, that in movies like this, the bad guy is supposed to be dispatched by something they were trying to do? That's how these work. That's when they're satisfying. You know, if the bad guy had just not done that, he'd be alive. If the Emperor hadn't tried to turn Luke, Vader wouldn't have thrown him over the precipice. But instead, imagine at the end of Star Wars, the Emperor is about to kill Luke, and Nine Numb shows up and shoots the Emperor, and he's like, I didn't die in the battle. What? Who are you? Oh, you're going to tell us who you are. That's what the movie did. That's what it did. So they hit go, and Sam Jackson gets the file, and he goes, yes! The movie, yes! They speed away as the tanker ship explodes. And we get a weird cut of John Cena and Henry Cavill in the boat with the hacker lady. Because that's who's in the boat. Because the Bryce Dallas Howard character is Henry Cavill. And Sam Rockwell is the John Cena character in the alternate reality, the book reality. Which would mean, if you're paying attention, that John Cena and Henry Cavill are lovers in that universe. So I was really hoping at the end they were going to be either kissing or holding hands. Because you know what? It might have turned the movie around. It might have been that moment of, oh my God, I did not expect that. That's amazing. Because yes, they're the same people. But the movie's not clever enough for that. I bet when it ever gets released anywhere, if there's any deleted scenes, I bet that's one of them where they tried it and they're like, we're just not. John Cena and Henry Cavill, like, I don't know. But why not? That's the story you're telling. Henry Cavill in the movie is a woman. He's a woman. There's no guts to this movie. We cut to a book signing. The new ARGYLE book is out. Everyone loves it. Sam Rockwell's there with the cat. Everything's fine. And somebody gets up to ask a question, and it's Henry Cavill in a mullet wig and like acne. He's like, I don't have any questions for you, but you might have a few for me. And the movie cuts, and I turned around and I said, what the fuck does that mean? That ARGYLE's real all of a sudden? Did she wish him into reality? Did she split somewhere and her id fell out of her body and became another person? Was it all bullshit all along? The movie doesn't know. The writers don't know. It's a stinger just to be a stinger without any shred of reality in their world. Not real world reality, their reality. The one they created still makes no sense. So normally, I stay for the credits as a respect, and I love the movie-going experience. I love the words going up and the music. I love all that. Why? The real world sucks. This one, I was like, I just want to get the fuck out of here. I want out of this movie. And suddenly there's a new scene. And it's from The Kingsman. It's a pub in England. And a guy walks in wearing, remember I said it was going to come into play later, the woman's mouth biting the cherry bomb shirt. And he's like, I've got to pick up something. And they're like, pick this up. And it's a silencer. And he's like, welcome to the... Who are these characters? And then it pulls back to show like ARGYLE, movie 1. I think of myself as reasonably intelligent. I can follow stories, can follow character arcs. I love twists and turns. It makes not a shred of sense. Is he ARGYLE? Are we watching the movie ARGYLE? Is it a movie within the book realm? Is it a book within the movie realm? Is it reality? Are they trying to connect ARGYLE to the Kingsman? Does anybody care? No, because they're never making any more of these. Here's my final summation, Matthew Vaughn. Make a singular movie. You and all your director friends can fuck off with these trilogies and cinematic universes and connective. Just make a movie. Just make a good movie that tells a good story with characters that we care about and fun twists and turns. Don't sit and say, this is the movie I'm going to make for the rest of my life. Because that spot's been filled by James Cameron making fucking Avatar movies. Just stop. The studios need to stop. This franchise shit needs to stop. We need to go back to make a singular movie that has a beginning, a middle, and an end, and tells a cohesive story and doesn't leave any threads for the non-existent sequel, doesn't leave any threads for the Netflix show. If that happens, that's great, guys. Wow, they made a show out of The Karate Kid. How fun is this? It's not like The Karate Kid ended with a, did he win? We don't know. Tune into Netflix. That's got to end because the movies are dead. If this is all we're going to get, Spielberg and Lucas predicted this years ago, that enough of these movies, these franchise $300 million movies would come out and just tank. Nobody would go see them. Nobody would watch. And not even like, well, it didn't make enough money. No, it made no money. It lost the gross national product of most countries. There were 6 of us on a Saturday afternoon the day after it opened. 6. We were one of 6 seeing Argyle. Word is out. It's a stinker. It's a snoozer. Why would somebody sit and talk an hour on it? Because maybe there's a lesson in it. And the lesson is just tell good stories and stop jerking off for a franchise. Just make one. And if it's really good, make another. And if it's really, really good, make a third. But start with the one. And just do the one as best as you can. And these franchises have to end. You know there's 3 Kingsman movies? Kingsman, The Gold Circle, and The King's Man. Does anybody even remember? No. Does anybody remember Men in Black International? No. What's it going to take? What's it going to take for this shit to end? Make a new movie. Have I talked long enough? Yeah, I think I have. I'm Jeff Tucker, and this has been 91 Reasons. Or has it?
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. It's called a cop-out.